Welcome to Fishbowl Sports, everybody. Thank y'all for watching us on YouTube and on Facebook. We're live in both areas here. Um, also, don't forget to join our live on Instagram as well. We have all three of those things going along here. We're going to be talking about this college football
Woo-hoo!
controversy with, college football playoff controversy because we're going to be talking about the bowl prediction, bowl preview of the Blue Hens of Delaware for taking on the Louisiana Ragin Cajun in the 68 Ventures Bowl. Which bowl tickets are cheap. The only problem is it's on a Wednesday. Very hard travel day for us here, but that's just the way it is. We're going to talk about the controversy first, and also, you know what? I've always been a person of like, if you can prevent something, go ahead and do it. That's why we did an episode about 2 years ago about this very situation. It's on our, we shared it on our X page. I'm gonna see if that's on our Facebook page as well. But before we get into that, the guy that we did his prediction with 2 years ago that this situation would happen in the G5 and this controversy getting stirred up here. Welcome in, Jalen. How you doing today, Jalen?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chief. Doing well. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well myself here. It's feeling pretty good to predict the future.
I
Like
was about to,
that's
I was just about to say the same thing.
uh, we were this one to do an episode about it because we thought this kind of per this kind of puts itself into the situation of the G5 getting two spots in the playoff. I had a feeling that they would want to try to do a G5 playoff anyway, and they set this parameter up. Now this prediction was done in 23, right before they released a 12-team playoff. I'm referencing the video here. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna go pull it up on our you. Let me see. It's on our Facebook page. I'm gonna go look real quick, guys. I apologize if it takes me a while to pull it up, but this is something that you need to look at here because it's very interesting in how much has changed basically in the sport of college football, and there's gonna be a bigger problem approaching it right now. There's a bigger issue going on, and it's with this Utah business. I want to warn everybody about this Utah business going on because it's a private entity that's going to invest $500 million into basically buying into the Utah football program. Now, these private entity businesses are basically one purpose. They're basically made to make money. They're a for-profit business. So now we're basically getting the NFL version, the college football NFL version, with no salary cap, with none of this stuff going on. So they're letting the one NIL, the implementation of NIL has been a disaster for G5 programs. Then you got people like Paul Feibaum and the rest of these ESPN talking heads talking about this kind of stuff here who look, I said this 2 years ago that Disney wanted a G5 playoff, and they're going to probably get it because they're pushing an agenda on. If you're a casual fan, you haven't been following this stuff or researching this stuff, you're probably thinking, oh, that's be pretty cool. You know what? They need you. I see a lot of like P4 people that don't pay attention to the G5 college football landscape at all. I watch both of them. So I know the dynamics between the two. And they're like, well, they're a different thing in college football. And they're like, maybe we should make another layer of like G5 being in there, and that's exactly what Disney wants. Because so today, before I got on this live here on the pod here, I went and look at some viewership numbers to see if this thing was actually possible to happen. Okay, and the best comparison that you can compare these two things would be so we posted about the viewership numbers for the Sun Belt Conference Championship, the American, and all the other SEC, the big Power Four Conference Championship games that was played this past weekend. So 1.1 million people tuned into the Sun Belt Championship game, and like over 2 million people joined the American Conference. Okay, which is about what the semifinals for the FCS playoff numbers were drawing. About 2 million people was watching those playoffs. Now, that's a good chunk of a crowd. And guess what? They do have sponsorships for FCS there. So if you make a G5 playoff, will those numbers be bigger than the 2 or the 1 million that they get for the conference championship? Because not everybody on the conference that you're not going to get everybody in one fell swoop, right? You're not going to get everybody watching the Sun Belt Conference Championship
Right.
game at whatever time. It depends on your time slot and what network you're on, right? Now, the reason for the 2 million. Now, the Sun Belt Conference Championship was on ESPN. But AB, you see, this is where this ESPN thing is coming up in here as well, right? And ESPN's got a big stake in the ACC as well. Um, so that being said, you got these talking heads that are trying to make this point here. They want to separate because Disney wants to make more money. This all comes back to money at the end of the day because you can get another entity to sponsor more football games that are bigger than these bowl games. Because these bowl games, I don't think anybody's really watching them as much here because they be playing the same week, even the same like day as some of these college football playoff games. The since the playoffs started, the bowl games don't mean nearly as much anymore. Um, like
No.
2014, like looking back on like the first year of it, bowl games still had some like prominence, and they were just trying to find their place and survive. Now you got a bowl game like with Georgia Southern was trying to find a bowl mate or a bowl opponent, and they got stuck with App State, a literal rival this bowl season.
Yep.
That's crazy to think about. That just shows you the changing landscape of these bowl games, Jalen. So, what you think here about this whole entire situation that we got going on here?
I think it's crazy. And then you look at it too, Chief. You got teams like Notre Dame who didn't make the playoff, but they opted out of a bowl game. Whereas if they opt out of a bowl game, that means there's one less team that's getting in. That's probably why you got App State versus a rival. So I think the whole landscape, like you said, Chief, I agree with you. The bowls have definitely changed. Years ago, teams were proud. They were like, "Yes, we made it to a bowl game." But now, if you don't make the college football playoff, some of these teams look like it's a wasted season, and then they go and say, "Hey, why they should have made it?" You got the Vanderbilts of the world, you got the Notre Dames of the world, saying Miami shouldn't get it. So there's always going to be controversy with this playoff. And then, like you said, with Disney, they're like they want to make more money. So hey, G5, you got to get out of here. But it's too much back and forth. And to this point, like you said, bowl games don't mean what they used to mean. I mean, yeah, the Cajuns, yeah, we want them to make the college football playoff, but hey, we're good. I'm happy they made a bowl game because as the season was going, we didn't think they were going to get that far. So,
To reiterate the point here, if you've noticed over the course of like several years, ESPN doesn't really have any sports journalists anymore. I don't see any like ones that were like kind of brought up in the older days. Like everybody talks about, oh man, Sports Center used to be so much better back in the day. Nowadays, it's just you got a lot of former athletes, right? Which they know the games. They know the games better than a sports journalist here, but they don't really know the like behind the scenes. I mean, you still get Marty Smith and those guys here that still, they've worked their way up, right? Um, those kind of guys are still there, but they don't really have as many anymore, especially since like Disney and ESPN, they got kind of like they've been their biggest revenue stream. And ESPN's revenue's been going down a little bit here as they try to adapt to this new age of streaming and all this other stuff. All these because of YouTube, basically, yeah, the platform that we're on right now. That's part of the reason. Like
yep,
a lot of younger kids don't.
competition.
Yeah, a lot of younger kids don't. They don't like to sit out in front of a TV and watch this stuff anymore, which is what a problem is with a lot of like television stations and companies and stuff are adjusting to these days. They're having to adapt, and you got to adapt to survive. You got to try something that works where you can reach the people here. That's why about 10, 15 years ago or whatever, how many years ago that whenever it happened, a lot of like news stations were moving over to Facebook and stuff like that. Some people say they would social media would never take off in the mid 2000s. Look, look at it now, right?
It's taking off.
Yeah, you have to be on these platforms to get your voice heard. Even if you don't have a big following or whatever, you got to be on these platforms to get people engaged and that kind of thing there. So that's just part of what's going on right now. This, Notre Dame, ESPN's apparently losing like $50 million for Notre Dame turning down their bowl game bid. Everybody's pointing a finger at because the ACC commissioner came out and kind of defended Notre Dame and their conference because there's no ACC conference champion in there, and they were trying to politic Duke into a spot. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So like, look, I thought that looked like a parody post, like someone with like a troll page was just trying to get Duke a spot in the college football playoff where they had 5 losses. They'd have been better off trying to push Virginia through for crying out loud, right?
Right.
I mean, like they would have only 2 losses, and like granted that killed their opportunity there, but you know, Duke that was a disaster scenario. We won't probably see many G5 teams like 2 G5 teams make it like that again. I think this is just setting the stage up for them to put a G5 playoff in place. So because this all comes down to money. Like the more you advance to the college football playoff, the bigger the purse gets for said team. So you can see where I'm going with this. If JMU pulls an upset against Oregon, they're going to get paid a bunch of more money, like every single Sun Belt Conference team, and it also helps the conferences. ACC, they got they got hurt pretty bad by Duke. If Virginia wins, they would have made, I think each school from them would have got $600,000. Now they're only getting 300,000 because JMU took one of their spots out, which helps the Sun Belt out. It's going to help them out tremendously because $300,000 is nothing to sneeze at. It's better than going to a bowl game and getting the bowl stipend that you would get. That's they had to make the purse bigger. That's why
Absolutely.
the SEC and the Big Ten won as many spots possible because they each get $300,000 just for opening round, and then the more they advance, the more money they get. So, how many teams did the SEC get in? They had Oklahoma, um,
It's
Alabama,
Alabama,
Oklahoma, Georgia,
Texas A&M,
Texas A&M. That's 4.
Ole Miss,
Ole Miss, that's 5. I think that's their 5, right?
and I think that's their five. Yeah, I think it's their five right there.
Yeah. So 500. I mean 300,000 times 5. That's $1.5 million. That
Coming
goes to
from one
each.
conference,
That goes to each SEC school.
and that's just one conference.
That's just one conference right there. That we're talking millions of dollars at play. Okay. This is why they want to expand the playoffs so they can get more money out of it, and the sponsors are going to pay money for it. Like you looked at that graphic, they had 17 million people watch the SEC championship game. Okay, look, I'm just saying that Disney wants a G5 playoff so they can do the same thing but do lesser amounts of money with it. That's why you have Feinbaum and all these other ones coming out that work for ESPN saying that there should be no G5 teams in the playoff at all because their boss has probably told him to go on the air and go say this kind of stuff here. Because I think Feinbaum's actually running for Senate or something of Alabama. I think that's one of his things that he got going on right there.
Oh,
So
that's behind the scenes, huh?
yeah, that's some behind the scenes stuff going on right there. So he's just probably telling him like they might even gave him some campaign money to go do whatever he says that. So I mean, look, I'm just saying, like there's a lot of like whenever you start dealing with millions of dollars, they're gonna probably do whatever their boss is gonna tell them to do. Like he's gonna advocate for the SEC because he works for the SEC network and he's on ESPN because it's a big interest in Disney to support the SEC conference and the ACC conference. That's why he made the statement because all the ACC games are broadcast on ESPN. Same thing with the SEC because they're on ABC as well. Whew, yeah, like that's what I'm basically saying here. So they got a big vested interest in it here. Could like the game I want to actually see happen? I want Tulane to beat Ole Miss
That would be epic, and it could
because
happen.
I know they lost by a lot, and I know the point spread is like 20 or 21 points or whatever. But what would happen is you would have Greg Sankey, and they're going to change this up anyway, so this doesn't happen again. You're going to see a bunch of rule changes next year to make sure they're probably going to put that you have to be a certain rank to get into the playoff, like to stop these smaller like G5 colleges from getting in there because that's just the way they're going to do it. It just sets up perfectly for them. It's just too perfect of a situation where they can just make up a rule like that and be like, all right, you got to be ranked number 15 to make the 12-team playoff or whatever. And I know the ACC commissioner came out and said, oh, if the numbers isn't right or whatever, you're too small, you need to expand. there's technically nothing wrong with the playoff. Okay, which Jalen, we're gonna jump a little bit ahead here because I'm gonna do my segment a little bit early
Hmm.
because this ties in with it because I haven't been get rid of the committee. There's no, I've been screaming this since 2014 that there should have never been a college football playoff committee. Okay. But this year they did get it right. They got it right. But we should use the BCS rankings and be care of these media talking heads because they're having an agenda and that's what they're going to do. Like I talked about Feinbaum, I talked about all these guys here because they want more money. This is all a money thing. Look, they're because they're pushing that G5 playoff so hard right now. You go look at X, you go look at like comment sections of the casual fans of the P4 people saying like, well, they shouldn't be in there. Well, Cincinnati gave Alabama a pretty decent game a couple of years ago.
It
They
sure
were
did. People forget about that though.
yeah, like but people forget about that. They were in the American Conference, and then guess what? They got their ticket to the Big 12. Who's to say that Tulane, especially in this era? Also, a more recent thing here that defeats their whole purpose of saying like, oh well, they're better than us. Oh, we're better than them. We don't have no. Hold up, let's pump the brakes there. Y'all know Indiana, right?
Hmm.
Cincinnati came from what college? JMU. About 2 years
Yep.
ago.
Yep. It was a JMU.
Um, did he or did he not take a lot of his players from JMU to Indiana? Yeah, go look at how many
Yeah.
transfers that Indiana had 2 years ago
Yeah, he
from
did.
JMU. Go tell me that didn't make a difference on that football team. I'll give y'all time to go pull up the list. I got here all day. I could sit here
They
and talk about it all day.
they would be lying if they said that didn't make a difference. Look at the Indiana team now.
Yeah, look Indiana, number one team in the country right now. Just beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. I'm just saying we live in a whole different college football landscape here. So I'm not saying like would that JMU team if Indiana didn't take that JMU team and they were actually in that college football playoff, would they have made a run on boy? They're like, well, Ashton Genty was a once in a generational type of player. Yeah, but you're gonna shut that kind of player down that could possibly happen. Like that team. I mean, I think we're just living a whole different thing here because all those Power Four teams miss Genty. They didn't. They
Yep.
didn't. They didn't go get him. He didn't commit to them. With all that money, they still didn't get him. They did not get Ashton Genty at all. He went to Boise State. Like look at like some of the NFL greats. Like to completely say like, well, they're doing a different talent level. You're only comparing one player. Well, one player could make a big difference in your team.
Sure can.
Could you imagine if prime Tom Brady was UL's starting quarterback this year? Give me a
Man.
2007 Tom Brady behind center. Look how many Cajuns probably go undefeated this year, even with a bad line. That's all I'm saying. Like you just like one player doesn't make a difference, man. You put prime Tom Brady behind on the center at UL, it'd be a big difference because this ain't no. I'm not talking bad about Lunch, okay? I'm not talking bad about him at all. But I'm just saying, like you're comparing like Hall of Fame NFL quarterback compared like in his prime compared to a college sophomore college football player.
Hmm.
Like even like better than Jake Delhomme and Brian Mitchell, like the greats of UL, football quarterbacks. But yeah, so college football committee got it right. They got it right to the rules that they were used here. Should they expand it? No, there's no reason to expand it. If you're gonna expand it, you should do it the right way, and every conference champion should have a seat at the table. Every
That's gonna be
conference,
that's gonna be that's gonna be some controversy too. Because like you said, look at Duke.
yep. Like Duke, like should you get auto bid there? Probably not. You probably like I
Probably
mean
not.
Duke 5 losses should be in the playoff. Probably not, right? I mean, like that's fair enough. They won the ACC title game, but Notre Dame got punished twice technically because last year, like if you think back last year, this is why they're so upset. There was some hurt feelings last year when Notre Dame got knocked down to this fifth seed. That's why they're complaining so hard this year. Because they were like, well, we're not in the conference, so the highest seeded rank we could do. Because remember, last year they had auto bids
Well,
for those.
I mean, you can join the conference.
Yeah, but they don't want to give us that NBC deal.
Yep.
But what's the problem that we're going to see, and it's already happening right now? There's none of these out of conference big games that we have are going to be scheduled anymore. You got Georgia dropping games. You have Texas dropping games. You got a lot of these Power Four teams that are not going to be scheduling these out of conference games. These big like matchups like we had this year, Ohio State, Texas 1-2 starting out the season. This is why we need the BCS because there's full transparent. There's like, well, there's an algorithm. You know what the algorithm is. I mean, they're not hiding it. They're talking about head to head. They got it. That's computed in there. If we could do it for fantasy football, we could definitely do it for college football, right? Playoff, right? Like, I
Yep.
mean, Jalen and I have a fantasy football league together as well, and we're in a 12 team, I think, and a 16 team.
Yep.
Yeah. So with those two, but it's still decided by head to head. Like if Jalen beats me, he'll be ranked ahead of me, like he should be. There's no debate in there on like whoever scored the most points in the fantasy. Not to get into fantasy football or not, but like even fantasy football has got a better playoff system than the college football committee does. I mean, like it's crazy to try to give like, but well, you ain't got that many conferences. You got divisions basically here, so the BCS, you can get your champions. Like if you want to have the ACC champion in there, because could you imagine if Duke would have done this last year, the first year of this 12-team playoff? Would we have as much controversy? We probably would have some because a 5-loss team made the playoff.
Hmm.
But so I know we're talking about that, but we'll talk about Alabama as well. You can't punish somebody for going to a conference championship game. You can't. I mean, like now, Georgia shouldn't have dropped as many as they did. I know people are going to bring up the Georgia thing, but that's just the way they did it. This is why I think the BCS system would be the best here. Now, Alabama, like under the BCS, I think Alabama might have actually got pushed out of it, actually, to be honest with you. In that regard, you might have, like, could you turn, what happens if a team turns out and go and play the conference championship game? So basically, what either we either need to do either one or two things needs to happen here. Notre Dame, their brand is not as big as it used to be anymore. That is becoming more clear as day. It isn't. They're fading. They're starting to lose their star appeal, and
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
And then you have that whole situation of everything. Now you might have like, would it be like if they would have left Alabama out? Would we have seen teams boycott conference championship games?
Uh,
Jalen, if you are the head coach of Alabama, Jalen, and you would have lost, like let's say you're DeBoer or whatever, and you would have lost that conference championship game, would you have boycotted the conference championship game the next year you would have made it, or next time you would have made it?
I, I think I honestly, I think I would have been the head coach because it's like we made it to the championship game. Yes, we lost, but we made it. We at least made it to the game in the you could say the biggest conference in football. So, yes, I would definitely boycott if I was the head coach of Alabama. I definitely would because I'd be like, why we didn't get in.
So should we just get rid of conference championship games?
No, I think see, but that's the other side of it. I think conference championship games matter. The worst example though is Duke and Virginia because you have a team in Virginia, they would have won, they would have got in the playoff.
Yeah,
Duke has all those losses. They basically won the ACC for nothing. Not I ain't gonna say for nothing, but they won the ACC, but they're not getting in the playoff because they had too many losses. So it's it's tough. I do think conference championship games matter, but but sometimes it doesn't matter because you could have a team upset you and then you settling for a bowl game instead of being in the playoff like Virginia is.
this is the worst case scenario for this playoff committee. This was absolutely the worst case scenario, and this is probably why they should just get rid of it because A computer doesn't have feelings. No matter how much you want to tell your virtual girlfriend that they have feelings for you, they just don't have feelings. Like AI cannot have the same. It won't cry. It won't do anything like that. Um, until we can make it have feelings, right? You know. So, but we all have a bias inside of us, right? I would be a
Absolutely.
hypocrite. Yeah. So this, whatever we are, we're human beings. I'm coming from a point where you're probably wondering why I'm so against committees because committees never solve anything. They always drag things out. They, in every part and factor of your life, you get a committee going, it's going to take them months to years to figure out something like that. It doesn't work. So, especially in a sports setting, you look at this disaster we got right in front of us here because sports are unpredictable. You can't just I could throw out predictions every single day. Hopefully, I get someone right. Like we were talking about this G5 stuff playoff thing, and that's exactly what we had happen here. Because I'm like I think we had made one of us made the comment like, oh, the G5 win or whatever. If they get two teams in there, they're gonna like their heads are gonna explode, and that's basically what's happening right now. And this has been almost a whole week going on, like not even a week, but like 3 or 4 days. But still, that's the problem. What we got going on here. So, oh man, let's let's finally talk about it, Jalen. We're gonna talk about the blue hens, right? Uh, oh, I need to update that. Let me put that 60 ventures. Yeah, let's talk about the bowl game, Jalen. What you think about this matchup here?
I think it's gonna be a great matchup. I mean, I knew Delaware was a team. First of all, I've been seeing a lot of things people talking about Delaware. And was it a they're the blue what exactly again?
They're the hens.
The Hens. Okay, the Hens. All right, but hey, I think it's gonna be a great matchup for the Cajuns. Uh, Delaware, they have the same record as the Cajuns. Uh,
Yeah,
so they're out of the Conference USA.
yeah.
So
So
I think it's gonna be a great matchup. Both teams, I think are played. I can't say played 100% great, but both teams did what they had to do to clinch a bowl game.
yeah, Cajuns had their back against the wall. That's for sure. There, they do get back Tyree Skipper in this game.
Oh
That,
yes, absolutely.
so
That's great news.
that was Sun Belt. I don't think they really asked Texas State. They probably just like, y'all leaving. We don't care what y'all say. Cajuns, do y'all want your safety back? Oh
Yeah,
yes, we do. Yes, we do.
go Texas State, but you know what? I mean, they're leaving anyway, so
Yeah, so I mean, would it really even matter anyway at that point? So, if you look at it here, I do think that Delaware likes to throw the ball. They are a very pass-heavy team. They like spreading the ball around to get the ball to their speedy playmakers that they got on the outside. They're trying to make plays for them there too. So that's something that the Cajuns are going to have to try to adjust to here. Do you play zone? Do you play man? Do you bring six? Maybe do you put the box eight in the box to try to force the quarterback? Maybe reading plays faster than you get in there. There's so many different ways. The Cajuns like to bring pressure on obvious passing situations. So that's something that Delaware is going to have to look at when they're going to be game scheming. And that's probably something they're going to do here. They're going to probably do a couple of hot routes, maybe do some slants or screens or something to try to throw off that Cajun pass rush. Is
I
something that we're going
think
to have to look at here when
this
we get
is
to
the
this game.
perfect game for the Cajuns to get Tyree Skipper back because I don't know if you realize, Chief, but Delaware's quarterback, he finished top five in passing yards through the season. He's fifth in the nation.
Yeah,
So he can pass the ball.
he's got 22 passing touchdowns on the year. Over 3,000 yards passing. So they really rely on that pass here. So I'm looking at ESPN's matchup predictor. They got the Cajuns at 61.3% and Delaware at 38.7% here. So if the Cajuns can, I think you got to keep the ball out of their hands. I think if the Cajuns can establish the running game against Delaware, I think that would be something that could be very beneficial to the Cajuns because if the ball on the ground, they're able to control the clock and keep that offensive Delaware on the sideline, that'd be the best defense they could possibly do. Do long, slow, continuous drives, and that should be what you need to do, right? That would be something that they would, I think, would be very beneficial to the Cajuns.
Now, my question is, who's going to be the quarterback?
Yeah, that's the that's the kicker. Who do you think is gonna be the quarterback, Jalen?
I, I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. I think Walker might start this game.
You feeling like Walker? You don't think? I mean, Lunch was kind of hurt a little bit, but I think it's probably just a stinger or whatever. Um,
If it's
you
just a
know,
stinger, like we're reading, and it's not long term, I'm gonna go with Lunch. But if Dez was to come out there and say, "Hey, let's switch things up and put Walker Howard," that wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, I mean Walker is gonna give you that running ability here. Like it's Dez's barnyard, so you're gonna be like, okay, whatever here. I mean, the Cajuns are 3-point favorites in this game here. Tickets are cheap, by the way. End zone tickets are like $19-20. I went and look at the Houston Bowl tickets for LSU and Houston, and they're $90. So if you want like some, cheaper, it's like that'd be the way to go do it here. I'm just looking at StubHub right now while I got this sucker up right here, and it's only $14 on StubHub. But you gotta be careful with StubHub sometimes. But
I know. Then they're playing in
anyway,
Mobile. It's not too far.
and they're playing, and yeah, it's not that far of a drive though. I mean, like I'm gonna go
It's
pull
just a
up the.
Wednesday though.
It's a Wednesday. It's gonna be a tough day to get over there. I mean, like if you have days off or whatever, vacation. Um, I was really hoping they're gonna put the Cajuns in New Orleans or even the Independence Bowl. I might have been able to make both of them there. So, but actually, Independence Bowl wouldn't happen because it's on my wife's birthday. So yeah, unless she really wanted to go outside and go freeze in the weather, go in the freezing part of Shreveport because yeah, that wouldn't have worked out good for your boy right here at all.
No, she was gonna see what happened the other year when
Yeah,
you were out there.
she's gonna be like, "Yeah, you remember you went out there in that 4-degree wind chill?" Or do you remember that? No, actually, I don't think I think it was -degree wind chill. Actually, I think it was the 4 degrees was actually the temperature that year. I think that was when UL played Houston that year.
Yep, play Houston.
Man, I feel bad for some people that were there on the sideline. Man, people got sick and everything else. Pipes in the locker room froze, bro. They were Man, that was a rough time, bro. I couldn't feel my feet until I got back in KDN. I'll tell you that much. My foot had to be. I thought I was gonna get frostbite or something. I thought I was gonna maybe lose a couple of toes on that trip there. Um, but I mean, the Cajuns secondary, like their corners, the Cajuns got some really good corners. I think that's gonna be something to this matchup here. So if you look at like ranking comparison here, let's look at stat rankings and see how both these teams kind of compare and contrast each other real good here. Um, Got to give it a second here. This system's getting bogged down. But yeah, like if you look, like if the Cajuns can get pressure on their quarterback, I think that'll make a big difference in this game here. It's at 7:30 on ESPN. Um, that is the matchup on next Wednesday. Uh, how you feel about this matchup? Like, are you feeling pretty good about it, Jalen, or what?
I do feel pretty good about it. I think the Cajuns are gonna play their game. I feel like they're fully strength now. They're gonna be excited to get Tyree Skipper, one of their great seniors on the team, back. I think it's gonna be a great atmosphere. They're not too far from home. Delaware actually has to travel way to the south, so I think the Cajuns are gonna come out ready to play.
So, if you're looking at both these teams here, so Delaware's passing offense is ranked sixth nationally. They're a top 10 passing offense. And offensive yardage is 37th, and that's higher than Louisiana's. But the Cajuns are averaging about on the ground 189.5. That's with Lunch, Davis, and Perry. 189.5 yards per game, 29th best in the country. Also, one of the Cajuns' offensive linemen is in the transfer portal. So not even going to play in the bowl game. They're going to be in the So, one of the guys that played all the games this year is in the transfer portal. So that's not great for the Cajuns at all entering this game here. So you're going to lose a lot of like experience. But I think the offensive line's good enough right now to, you know, make it where it's going to be very good for them here. So that's something to look at here as we continue going here. We also got some other news that left-handed pitcher Chase Morgan will be out
Hmm.
indefinitely, and his return in 2026 is to be decided. He's going to be having some nagging. He's got some nagging back issues that he's dealing with here. So that is something to look ahead to for the Cajuns. So that's uh, not to look forward to, but I mean, like, just disappointed to say at least they're going to be losing Chase Morgan for he might not come back for 26 here. So hopefully he gets everything, he gets all healthy and they can get back ready to go here. So that is something that we need to be looking at here. So oh yeah, I finally found that picture that I was talking about, Jalen, where I thought it was a parody post for the ACC with Duke. So yeah, ranked P4 win. They had 7 P4 wins, is more than Sun Belt Conference, Mount West, and MAC combined. They had 5 wins above 500 teams. Top 10 quarterback completion percent per game. Duke was conference champions. Passing yards per game, and passing touchdowns. They didn't mention anything about the 5 losses when they were trying to push Duke into
Oh, of
being
course they're
the
not. Yeah, they ain't gonna talk about that. They will talk about the good stuff.
man. This is yeah, you're like that's like what was oh they had it was Homer Simpson, I think it was. Where they had like all those pinned behind him, like make him like look, I'm all ripped. Look at this, and they got all the pins in the back of them or whatever, holding them together. That's what they were trying to make Duke look like.
Bruh, that's
That's
crazy.
how that situation was going. So, and also, and former Raging Cajun head coach Billy Napier he's signed a 5-year deal with James Madison to become their head coach.
He's under a lot of pressure next year. I'm telling you.
So yeah, he's got a lot to look up to, and it was on the day that the Cajuns won the 2021 Sunbelt Championship 4 years prior
I
to
mean, you
that.
won. You won with the Cajuns. Now, can you win a championship with JMU, who's won championships and in the college football playoff, and can make a run? I mean, it's huge for him.
It is, it is. So that is something to look at here. I don't think I put it on our Facebook. Oh wait, actually, it's on Raging Fishbowl's page. Let me go bring up the Raging Fishbowl. Yeah. So we have 2 pages on Facebook and all the other one here. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to see where it's at here. I guess it never made it there. Let me go look on X real quick. Yeah, I'm just gonna. So I think defensively. So let's look at the defenses here. Cajuns give up chunk plays. They give up big plays. So that's something they're gonna have to play their best football here. But Cajuns have a very bend but don't break kind of thing here. And the yardage comparison here. Cajuns give up 417 yards, point 0.1 yards per game. Delaware gives up 411.2 yards per game. So Delaware has 6 yards. They're basically the same defense, basically here. So Delaware's offense converts at 41.8%, while the Cajuns defense allow conversions at 42.8%. So they're both not good at all here. The Cajuns are more efficient in the red zone um, than Delaware's defense. Delaware gives 89.4. They're 120th. So the Cajuns are 87.5. So if the Cajuns can get in the red zone, they're probably getting points
Yep.
here. And if you want to talk about run plays ran per game, Delaware controls the time of possession, 78.6. That's that bend don't break kind of strategy the Cajun like they employ this year, compared to the Louisiana 66.6. Now, the Cajuns did have one game where they just like They had a lot of guys out and they still won. So I think that gave the Cajuns. I think that game against Arkansas State really gave the Cajuns a lot of confidence here that they and like I bet you a lot of those guys might actually stay this year just based on that because they're like, oh hey, we can actually do something about this here. So I think that's part of it here. Um, so that is something to kind of look at here. I thought I was gonna do my bowl picks tonight. I don't think I'm gonna do that here. I think we'll do that next week, Jalen. I think it'd be a good episode for next week here as we, wait on this contest between the Cajuns and the Delaware Blue Hens here. But we'll go ahead and do the picks. I'll let you start us off, Jalen. Who wins between Louisiana and Delaware?
So no bias into it. I think both teams, Cajuns with the run, got Delaware with the pass. Both offenses are going to be powerful. It's going to be it's the defenses are going to have to step up, but I think in the end, I think the Cajuns are going to get the win.
So Bryant Williams, he's entering the transfer portal. He's 6'7", 335. He will not. He did not allow a sack in 2025. And the way he's played very well for the Cajuns. He's basically has not. He's he had an agent already. So there's definitely he was outstanding for the Cajuns. We're gonna miss him on the offensive line. So um basically, if they got an agent, they're probably gone. Like agents cost money to keep. You just gotta do what you gotta do. So anyway, with that being said, I know I usually pick against the Cajuns just to keep that streak going to where they can keep winning games. Um, I like being wrong in those situations because I think it really helps the Cajuns to do so, do in that kind of way. Um, I'm gonna go with man. Like, do I pick Delaware even though I really want the Cajuns to win? I think that it's gonna be kind of one of those situations where like, do you want? But I will say this though, this is an important fact though. Forget about the 21 season at all. Dez has only one bowl game win, and that was in 2021, which was the Sun Belt Championship year for the Cajuns. 22, 23, and 24, he's 0-3 in the last 3 years in a bowl game. So you know what? I'm going to pick Delaware.
I understand the logic.
Dez has to win this bowl game. This is his biggest bowl game that he has to possibly try to win at. He's got to get the monkey off his back. He has not won a big football game. Don't even give me the Wake Forest game. That's a low-ranked P4 team. They're not a good football team. They were not a good football team the year the Cajuns beat them, and they're not a good football team now. Sorry. Not sorry.
Take the truth.
Like that's ACC is not really that good of a conference, but it's a whole nother conference talk for another day. In regards to what they're trying to be, right? So I think let's give me Delaware. Well, I picked them on my sheet, probably not. I probably won't pick them because I want to support the Cajuns. But do I think now? I hope the Cajuns win. I'm gonna be pulling for them. Hope I'm wrong. So that's what I think here is going on here. So we, Ragin' Cajun men's basketball, Ragin' Cajun women's basketball, both have struggled to say the least. It's hard watching these teams because the Cajuns need to work more on the inside, their inside game. I think that's really the big thing that's holding back this offense here with the men's basketball talking specifically here.
Mhm.
So that's the big issue with them here. So they got to learn to work the inside lane drive. I've seen a couple of good drives by them, but I think the problem that they find themselves in is well, they are sometimes they'll get the ball and they got a wide open shot and they just don't take it. And that's whenever that ball's in rhythm. You got to keep the ball in rhythm, and that's been part of the problem with the Ragin' Cajun men's basketball team here when they're passing around, the beyond the arc and stuff, and they really like to work that shot clock down to 2 or 1 second before they even take their shot. And I think they need to be taking their shots a little bit sooner in the game because I know you got to get good slot selection. You got to pick your spots and get them, but there's time where they got a wide open shot. And they're just trying to get it to the other person that they think can make the shot. But Sometimes you gotta take the chance, man. I like they need to have like they need to get that confidence here. Now they played great in the first half. They did really good this past Saturday. Friday we're gonna find out with Louisiana Tech and how that goes with them. So that is something to look at there. So like when that does become a thing for the Cajuns, I think that might be something that you know you just have to look at it here on Friday. They're gonna be on the road. Be a good time to win against a. This is gonna be a good like eye test game for them because Tech's gonna be in the Sun Belt. So
Yeah,
Kiwanis Company,
yep.
I think they're gonna have their work cut out for them here. Or are we gonna give coaches this big leash, leash that they're gonna be. I still like the 4 years to turn your program around. I'm still a good believer in that. I think that's just the way it is. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I think 4 years is definitely a great time to, and a lot of coaches do it in year one, heading into year two. So who knows? I mean, this is just year one for Quandas. He's gonna get it together, though. I know he's helped transform a lot of players at Houston. He's gonna do great things with the Cajuns. Just give him some more time.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think they're still trying to gel. I really
Yeah,
think that this is the I've been talking about this since November and they've been going on this losing streak here. They got to gel.
I
I,
think one thing I would say that I think Oliveira should start every game. I think he's the offensive piece right now.
yeah, absolutely. But they need more than just him though. Like he's the one
Yeah.
that's consistently showing up and getting your 15, 20 points. You need that second person to show up and give you 20 as well or 15. That way you can get because you're gonna get probably 5, 6 points from just a couple of guys that's on your bench and on the starters and stuff. But the Cajuns really need one big down there. They need one that's like if they could have kept Hosanna, I think this would have been a really good basketball
Oh
team
yeah,
this year.
absolutely.
Because I Olvera can shoot the three ball very well. He's a pretty good 3-point shooter, so that's something to kind of look at there. Now, do I think they win against Louisiana Tech? It's hard to say. I don't think they'll get it done. What do you think, Jalen?
No, I don't think they'll get the win against Louisiana Tech, but I think they'll be able to keep it close. The last couple games have been close.
Yeah, they've been getting it closer, but like if they can just string them together, because like either they're falling apart late in the games, which we've been seeing that like the last that that last like 5, 8 minutes of a game, I'm gonna say 5 to 10 minutes of the game where they're getting like into the second half and they start working that way down. They start falling apart. They make turnovers and stuff. They just got to get that going. I think they'll be okay. So Raging Cajun women's basketball is still winless here. It's not looking good for Coach Brawhead though. Um,
No, it's definitely not.
there's not much to say. I mean, it's bad right now. I mean, that's the nicest way to put it here. Hopefully, they could put it all together and just kind of get everything, meshed in there. But I said in the preseason, I didn't think this team was going to do anything special.
They have to sneak a win in because with Sunbelt play coming up too, I just don't know how they're going to get their first
I
win.
I feel like this basketball programs are. I mean, it's a free game to go to, but I mean, you lost every game you've been a part of. And you got Texas State coming up in conference play coming up in about a week from today actually on the road. So you got to find a win somewhere. And then I mean you'll get Dillard. So hopefully they can pick up a win against Dillard. But I mean we thought that against Delta State and they lost that one too. So it's like
Yeah.
I mean what you gonna do? I mean you're 0-9. So we'll see what happens with all that there. So hope everybody enjoyed this episode here. Thank you for tuning in here to Fishbowl Sports here. We hope you have a great and wonderful day here. And we'll see y'all guys next time here on Fishbowl Sports here. And anything you want to say before we get off here, Jalen?
I just want to say everybody keep tuning in to Cajun Athletics. And hey, if you're able to go to the bowl game and watch the Cajuns against Delaware, I say make the trip.
It's gonna be a fun trip for them guys. Like that's kind of something that you kind of want to see. What it's bowl games are still cool to go to. I still like going to them myself here. That's kind of what needs to happen, right? Like you need to take the trip. Like I've been to a couple ball games. They're always fun. The energy, a different fan base. It's always something cool to go look at here. I've always been a big fan of that's just something there. You're gonna have, this is gonna be, if you like this bowl game for the Cajuns, if you like passing game stuff, it's gonna be a good one because that other team, Delaware, likes to throw the football a lot. And that's gonna be something the Cajuns back, their safeties and their corners are gonna have their defensive backfield is gonna have to make some plays on the ball because if they don't,
Absolutely.
and that's the big key right there. If they can hold off on it here, it's gonna be something to kind of look at here. One thing I do want to touch on before we get off of this here is that Utah situation. So, um, that $500 million has to be really concerned, and I think that's going to eventually lead to the actual like split with G5. That I think that might be the nail in the coffin for playoff situation in college football, just college football, because if that thing takes off like I think it will, I think we're going to be having a situation there where it's going to be not good. Now, I hope I'm wrong about it. I hope college sports can keep going and just, I mean, like the G5 sports and stuff, because right now they're not doing any favors for these teams at all. Like they're not our universities or anything. They're just feeding them to the wolves. It seems like y'all figure it out on your own, which
Hmm.
this is the worst that it's ever been. Actually, I think, because you got to fight NIL, and like there's people like there's these private universities. Nothing against them here, but they're really showing like the big booster money and stuff like that. So it really takes stuff like that to try to figure everything out. So that's kind of something we're gonna have to deal with here in the coming years, and we'll be right there with y'all here. So we'll just see what happens here. Thank y'all for tuning in here to Fishbowl Sports. We hope you have a great and wonderful day. We're going to see y'all here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a great and wonderful day. We'll see y'all here next time. Jalen, anything you want to say before we get off here?
Hey, I just want to say thank y'all for tuning in each and every week. And hey, I think we got another one to go before the holiday kicks in.
Yeah, we got one more show we're gonna do. Then we're gonna take our little week break for Christmas and stuff like that because I know a lot of y'all have Christmas plans and stuff like that. We want y'all to be with y'all family, not worry about what we're doing here either. So, it should be gonna be a fun week coming up here. Hopefully the Cajuns can pick up a win in the 68 Ventures Bowl. And hopefully Brady Cajun men basketball get back on track and they can get a couple more wins here before conference play starts. And hopefully the women can get their first win and against a conference mate to kick off the season. So thank y'all for tuning in. Hope a great, wonderful time. We'll see y'all here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl Niche.